Smooth, wrinkle-free skin to avoid looking old at all costs.
If you believe half what they claim in adverts, then that might help a little, but it's not true.
There's a multitude of anti-aging methods. Many things appear possible.
I think that people are willing to use methods that are more invasive.
Using radical means, stem cells against wrinkles in clinics in the Ukraine.
During my research, I ask incessantly, tell us, where is our baby?
Ukraine became one of the biggest suppliers of this human material to produce medicine and cosmetics in the world, and unfortunately no one wants to stop it because it's a big money.
How far does the fight for smooth skin go? Always the same movements. To obliterate age, accentuate beauty.
You wake up one morning and look in the mirror and think, someone changed the lights overnight. Wrinkles have appeared. It's indescribable. It's just this feeling. You look in the mirror and think, oh God, is that really me? You can't believe it.
When she was young, she was a beauty queen.
Look, that's your grandfather's favorite photo of me. I won second prize.
For a long time, she took her youthful appearance for granted.
You look a bit like me there, or I look like you. When my young colleagues see photos of me, how I looked when I was 25, 30, then they come and say, I saw a picture of you. You used to be so pretty. And that always hurts a little. Then I think, you have to do something about this.
2 or 3 women and increasing numbers of men use cream every day for firm skin.
This is the main area that I'm creaming now. So I take my time and rub it in well. Imagination helps. So I treat my mouth particularly well.
Imagination or reality? Our research starts in the pharmacy. Nearly 1 in 2 face creams claim to be an anti-aging product. The business is worth it. The Germans spend 2.8 billion euros a year on facial products, with a target audience consisting of women aged 40 and above, with seductive promises. Fewer wrinkles after just 1 week. Often, people buy hope. We want to know from the manufacturers of cosmetics, what are the trends? What are they researching? What sells best? One refusal after another. No capacity, no time, no information. The competition seems stiff. Even those who had offered to give an interview pull out at the last moment.
Please sit. Your chin here. Sit straight, press against this. Perfect.
We turn to the Institute of Cosmetic Science at Hamburg University. Here, creams are tested for their efficacy. In wrinkle measurements like this, the scientists analyze whether the products work deep down and ask if one can cream wrinkles away.
There are definitely products that, compared with products we had 10 or 20 years ago, can achieve quite a lot. In the micro area especially, which you can't see with the naked eye.
The close-up shows that creams can only minimally smooth the external layers of skin. They cannot prevent the aging process. Yet users still want to believe the advertising promises.
I've started to use night creams and day creams. For my hands, too. I put lots of cream on my hands overnight because you can tell someone's age by their hands, too. When they say that wrinkles are smoothed out, what is a wrinkle? Consumers might imagine the cream can smooth out their nasolabial folds, whereas the producer has tested whether the cream can target small, dry skin wrinkles around the eyes. So the study may be correct, but the user is hoping for something completely different and might be disappointed.
She has tried many creams too, but every application disillusioned her more than the last.
The problem was always down here. It always looked dirty. I didn't like that. If it had just been wrinkles. But no, it always looked too dark, so unwashed. So I might be looking in the mirror and say to myself, well, if you could have a facelift or whatever. But it costs so much money. And if something goes wrong, you have a crooked face. A hyaluronan injection seemed quite harmless in comparison.
Hyaluronan is part of the human connective tissue. The idea for the treatment came from the radio, through an advert on a private station.
Good morning. We'll do something about your wrinkles. We will smooth your face. Every day we'll be giving away a free Botox or hyaluronan treatment.
It used to be cups and saucers that were given away free. Now it's injections against wrinkles. Sylvia Vollmer wins. In return, she has to agree to the video of her treatment being put online by the radio station.
The small prick, that really hurt, and it bled a lot. But afterwards, you could see the result immediately in the mirror. I was astonished it worked so fast. The creams and everything I tried before, they didn't work. And this worked immediately. I was surprised and delighted. I thought it was great.
Hyaluronan is considered generally harmless. Possible complications include swellings, infections, or nodules. A trend in big cities like Berlin. Botox to go. Take away neurotoxin, just like a cup of coffee. When we visit, there are no customers present, but apparently lots of people come here, from blue-collar workers to managers. There's a discount for repeat treatments.
You can buy a loyalty card, true. You can buy an annual ticket at a set price, and then you can get as much Botox as you need.
Botox for the whole face costs 1,000 euros. Inject as much as you like.
One woman speaks to her friend, and the friend sees that it looks good, then she'll want it too. But if she doesn't dare come on her own, she'll bring a friend. The friend can watch if she wants. Then she can see it all went well. I'll do that too. That's how it works, by word of mouth.
Showroom for beauty. That's what Michael Krüger calls his range in Berlin. The salon on the Kurfürstendamm is a lure. He wants his clients to come to his main salon in Potsdam. We meet him as he prepares a Botox treatment. This is the strongest neurotoxin in the world. 1 million times stronger than arsenic. In diluted form, injected into a wrinkle, it paralyzes facial expressions.
The brain sends a signal to a nerve. The nerve transmits the signal to the muscle, and this is where Botox blocks the transmission of the nerve signal to the muscle. Over the course of 2 to 6 months, the Botox gets degraded, and then normal mobility returns.
And with that, the wrinkles. So one has to inject over and over again.
Dann berichten Sie mir doch mal, was Sie heute verändern möchten.
Markus Krüger and his client discussed the treatment.
Mal so machen, genau.
Die stört mich schon sehr.
Und wie ist mit Krähenfüßen?
Die gehen noch.
Die gehen noch, okay.
In 1822, the botulinum toxin was discovered in a moldy sausage. Today, the poison is taken for granted in the fight against wrinkles.
Gut. Aber ein bisschen desinfizieren.
I like to try new things. It's a bit unnerving, but it's worth it. I didn't have to think about it for long.
Also ich habe nicht lange drüber nachgedacht.
Jetzt piekst es. Das war's schon.
Nobody knows what long-term damage Botox can cause, but more and more scientists are warning that the poison is not as harmless as cosmetic surgeons like to claim.
Gut, dann haben wir jetzt wieder.
Right, that's it. I hope you'll be okay. We'll see each other again in 6 months.
Mitte des Jahres.
Ich freue mich drauf. Vielen Dank.
I would take Botox again, and when it gets really bad, I might consider a facelift. But it's not got to that stage yet.
I
think it's fair to say that it's almost a social expectation to be able to say, I want this or that treatment. Everybody knows what treatments are out there, and many say, okay, I'll do that. Others, once they've got the information, say, no, I don't need that, I don't want it. I want to age gracefully, and you have to respect that. But you also have to respect those who say they don't want those frown wrinkles.
The popularity of injections is putting pressure on the cosmetics industry. Cream manufacturers are putting their hopes into biotechnology for new active ingredients, which work better, deeper. We encounter something that is sold as a silver bullet against wrinkles, something we will hear of repeatedly: stem cells. Here from apples, rose petals, or lilac bushes. The manufacturers hope that what makes an apple crunchy can't be bad for the skin. The stem cells of plants are praised as the fountain of youth.
Researchers have discovered a new miracle treatment that reverses the look of aging skin, producing amazing results like this. It's new stem cell therapy, working on the cellular level to make you look years younger than your age, for life.
Well, the first question is whether the human body recognizes the stem cells of plant origin as stem cells, or are there vitamins and peptides in these extracts that we know of anyway that could have these effects?
So there are doubts, but we still encounter new anti-wrinkle offers, this time with stem cells from one's own body. The manufacturers admit they don't quite understand how the product works, but they use it anyway. Like Dr. Krüger. Doesn't he have any concerns?
You can use them to reduce wrinkles or changes to the complexion. This procedure requires an operation, so I have to obtain fatty tissue, isolate stem cells from it, and then re-inject the fatty tissue with the stem cells.
He removes what are known as adult stem cells from bodily fat tissue and re-injects them into the patient. How does this produce a new skin cell in the face?
If you can imagine that each healing process, it doesn't matter where, then you can imagine that if you take a stem cell to where it's needed, it can do what it should. Heal, improve, refresh.
Procedures lacking basic research are not approved of here. We're in Heidelberg in the Ethianum Clinic. The scientists want to find out how stem cells work before they start treating people with them, either for serious illnesses or for wrinkles.
We hope that in a few years we'll be ready to use stem cells to smooth the skin by stimulating new collagen production there.
Stem cells, shown here in color, are the body's basic material. They can develop into any cell, such as heart, fat, or skin cells. That's why cosmetic surgeons are pinning so much hope on them.
Jeder Mensch hat Stammzellen.
Everyone has stem cells, so everyone could be treated with their own stem cells. That's a big advantage. They're always there. You don't run the risk of infection. Stem cells can divide endlessly and are capable of developing into many different types of cell, depending on what is required in the body. These are the things that make stem cells so interesting.
The stem cells with which they are working here come straight from the operating theatre next door. From liposuction. Earlier, the patient told us she wanted to get rid of her saddlebags. 2 liters of fat. What used to be waste material is now research material. Stem cells are not just in bone marrow, but also in fat cells.
There is a belief, and that is, of course, the hope of us medics, that stem cells will at some point be able to heal everything. And of course, the beauty sector is paying attention to that too. What could heal seriously ill people, people with cancer, could help patients to improve their looks.
The patient is also using her liposuction fat to inject under her wrinkles. To date, they are working with a conventional own fat therapy. The stem cells are used for basic research in the laboratory. Not every clinic invests this much time. The providers are discussing whether to do more research or implement their findings now.
I think we need to do a lot more research before we can say what happens to these stem cells in the body. What are they doing there? What factors are they releasing? What are their interactions with other cells? We have to see whether what we observed in the Petri dish can be achieved in the body.
In der Petrischale gesehen haben, dass wir das tatsächlich auch nachher im Körper erreichen können.
An dem Punkt braucht man keine
No basic research is needed on this. It's clear that healing processes are carried out by the stem cell. Once you know that the stem cells I use come from the patient's own body and are thus harmless, then accessibility is increased. One can say, these are my own cells. Nothing can happen. There's no difference between using stem cells and doing a skin graft.
nicht so erheblich.
Are these therapies really harmless? During our research, we hit upon an article in which scientists discussed the risks, such as unwanted facial bone growth. We go to the Paul-Ehrlich Institute, which examines the therapeutic use of stem cells. Here, they share our concerns.
We know very little about the risks or the efficacy. The theoretical risks that can occur include development of tumors or the accelerated growth of existing tumors. A second risk is that these stem cells differentiate to abnormal tissue within the introduced tissue. So, you inject it into the subcutis and you get unwanted bone growth. That can lead to problems.
To protect patient safety, doctors and researchers in Germany are bound by tight rules. The laws are particularly strict regarding embryonic stem cells. It's illegal for these cells to be used for therapy in Germany. Our research shows that it's different abroad. We find clues that embryonic and fetal stem cells are used for anti-aging treatments. German scientists regard this as totally unacceptable. Eva Köllensperger confirms our findings and tells us about an incident at a conference.
There was one scientist who presented results that he'd achieved using embryonic stem cells. And when he was asked how he got these cells, it became apparent that there are young women who go to a center and have an abortion and are paid for it.
Produziert werden, kam eben auch heraus, dass es junge Frauen gibt, die in dieses Zentrum gehen.
That caused a huge scandal, and rightly so.
Natürlich einen riesen Eklat ausgelöst, berechtigterweise.
Do you know which country he came from?
I think the Ukraine.
We fly to the Ukraine, to Kiev. There is indeed a clinic that offers anti-aging treatments using fetal stem cells. The material is said to come from aborted babies. Official figures state that there are 350,000 terminations a year in the Ukraine. The estimated number of unreported cases is thought to be 4 or 5 times that. An interpreter accompanies us during our filming. The Amsel clinic lies on the edge of Kiev. We'll be allowed to film here in a few days. But first we want to know, what does the law say about the use of stem cells? We have an appointment with a lawyer in Kiev who can pass on some contacts. We find that in the Ukraine, terminations are permitted until the 12th week of pregnancy, like in Germany. What happens with the material afterwards is legally regulated in theory.
There are doubtless many cases where the material is used for research purposes. It is legally stipulated that the material can only be used by certain research institutes licensed by the Ministry of Health. If the aborted material is to be used for medical or research purposes, the woman has to give her written consent.
The Ukrainian transplantation law, which regulated all this, was only valid until 2010. Now there is no legal basis. Igor Chertsov is sure doctors often act without the women's knowledge.
I have never heard of a doctor going to court and being held to account because he used abortion material for research or anti-aging therapies behind the woman's back. I think that no doctor even asks the woman for their consent. I don't know of any such cases in the Ukraine.
The lawyer also tells us that there is no monitoring agency looking into what happens to the aborted material. It is difficult to talk to people in the Ukraine affected by this topic. The lawyer takes us 500 kilometers further east to Kharkov, the second biggest city in the country. His contact, this woman, a woman who doesn't want to reveal her face. Zana tells us of her second pregnancy. It was unwanted. She hesitated for too long and was past the 12th week. Her doctor told her it was too late to abort.
Then a different doctor came and said that it wasn't too late. The situation could still be changed and everything would be fine. But I would have to wait a little and carry my child for a bit longer. I didn't have a choice. They offered me money, which we really needed then. We had debts and already had one child. It wasn't a very stable situation at home. He said it was for medical research purposes and for the treatment of different diseases. A victim for a good cause. So psychology plays along. You convince yourself that what you're doing isn't bad.
The first time she had contact with this doctor, it was by chance. The consequence, a painful abortion in the 7th month, which was illegal. 3 years later, the family was in debt. Zana remembers the doctor. She's pregnant again.
The second time, I did it on purpose because we needed money. That's something I want to forget and erase from my life. Maybe also because it was twins.
She doesn't want to tell us how much money she got. She's ashamed. She remembers there was nothing like a contract. They took her pregnancy records. Zana doesn't want to tell us more. We must continue our search. We meet a different woman, Maria, in a forest. She tells us a similar story from a Kharkov maternity ward. Maria was in hospital, and one of the women in the room was a young girl from an impoverished background. She was called Rima, pregnant and only 15 years old. Maria remembers that the staff at the hospital were trying to persuade her.
First, the doctor in charge took her to one side and tried to persuade her to have an abortion. She put great pressure on Rima. In hindsight, I think she wanted the aborted material for stem cells. I think there was a rich customer who wanted to rejuvenate herself with the stem cells. They're all talking about it.
What did they offer her?
Money.
Money for an abortion?
Yes, for an abortion. I have never had an abortion, thank God. I don't know how much it costs. But the doctor said she would bear all the costs of the abortion. She even paid her a lot more. I don't know how much.
How many months pregnant was she?
About 7 months.
Maria continues. The doctor forbade Rima to talk about the matter. Otherwise she, the doctor, would get into trouble. We cannot follow up her story. So we try and get in touch with doctors. We hear many rumors, but nobody wants to appear in front of a camera. This hospital in Kharkov is said to have been a supplier of stem cells from abortion material for years. We're chased away. Finally, we make contact with a gynecologist who performed abortions for 27 years. We persuade her to take part in a Skype interview. According to her, many doctors don't stick to the rules.
It doesn't happen with all abortions, only those that were carried out in the late stages of pregnancy. With early terminations, the material is of no interest. Only when organs have developed is it valuable. The nurses even washed the material in front of our eyes, bagged it up, and took it from the theater. What happened with it, I'm not sure.
Raisa can only guess why older cells are more valuable. Probably because cells can be removed in a more targeted fashion. In Germany, researchers oppose such practices. Raisa continues.
Nobody has ever made a woman aware of the fact that her aborted material is used in any form. Not even verbally, let alone in writing. Such a consent form never landed on my desk.
Have you seen a blank consent form?
No, never, because it doesn't exist.
All this is a big secret, says Raisa. She's sure there's a connection between illegal abortions and beauty clinics in the Ukraine.
The big business with stem cells only takes place in the big cities. That's where the large and expensive beauty clinics are. How they extract the stem cells and how they use them, I don't know. But I know that representatives of such clinics or businesses offer the hospital staff, be it nurses or doctors, money to supply these clinics.
Back in Kiev, filming at Amsel, a clinic that has specialized in stem cell therapies over the last 20 years. In recent times, it's been advertising anti-aging therapies using stem cells. There are 2 registered clinics in the Ukraine that share this market. The promotional video praises the clinic as modern, innovative and successful. Stem cell therapy is celebrated aggressively.
People always dreamt of the possibility to replace damaged or lost cells and tissues with new and young ones. Ukraine was the first place where unique methods of human fetal stem cell therapy was invented.
The clinic claims to treat 700 people a year with fetal stem cells, mostly for serious diseases, but increasingly against wrinkles. we meet Professor Karpenko, one of the founders. He tells us precisely what he says on his internet appearances.
This is a clinic, a unique clinic in the world, the single university-based clinic completely devoted to the fetal stem cell transplantation. Fetal stem cells, among all stem cells, have the most strong curative potential. They are not rejected by recipient's body, and this is absolutely new situation in medicine.
There are no studies to prove the efficacy. The therapy is not well received among German doctors, not only because aging is not a disease, but also because the body quite often rejects foreign material.
The fetal stem cells seek for the fading tissues and fading functions because they find all what is decaying, what is aging, what is fading in the human body, and they reinstall these functions.
Amongst German specialists, this therapy is considered useless, dangerous even. MCell carries it out anyway. The cost a minimum of 7,500 euros. Most of the clients are from Asia, the USA and Western Europe, according to Karpenko. We'll see just one patient later, the mother of the managing director. Dr. Maria Klunik introduces herself as a heart specialist and general therapist. She carries out the anti-aging treatments in this clinic. The treatment takes 2 days.
Essentially, we are regenerating the skin. This results in a natural lift, so the skin gets firmer and smoother. There's a reduction in wrinkles and a better complexion.
That's what the clinic promises, up to 20 million cells per millimeter, not into the face but into the cardiovascular system. Does it bother you that it comes from abortion material?
No, not at all. It would have landed on the dump otherwise, and like this it serves a purpose.
Don't you think it could lead to more abortions?
No, I don't think so. Our material consists of stem cells taken from human fetuses that are about 5 to 8 weeks old. So these are legally obtained fetuses that come here following abortions that were carried out due to social circumstances. The women have consented to this material being used for medical purposes. There are no legal problems here. Here, stem cells were taken from various fetal organs.
In which form and from where do you get the material? We are interrupted as we ask this question. Professor Karpenko butts in. He needs to clarify something and would prefer to answer the question himself. Karpenko takes his colleague to one side. We have to be patient. His answer, half an hour later, is well thought out.
We are established as a bank of stem cell transplants. We have some supply of aborted materials from the clinic, where they have this medical service to the women who apply. And the women, when they are suggested to donate, they easily agree for donation. Despite donation is free of charge, they receive nothing for the donation, and they cannot indicate to whom the donated material should be used.
According to Karpenko, everything is in order. He shows us the license for the treatment from the Ministry of Health.
Another one. This is the right to use it anywhere. And then who can? We can, and we use it.
We inquire from the Ministry of Health, what can MCell do with this license? What was it granted for? The authorities stay silent. Karpenko himself told us that one of his colleagues holds office high up in government. He doesn't tell us the name. We get a tour through the MCell laboratory. They've put on a show for the camera. Everything is meant to look good. A lab worker shows us how the stem cells are frozen in liquid nitrogen. 1 fetus per patient. The critical question: is there any truth in rumors that they use material from late abortions? MCell repeats vehemently that this is illegal and absurd. Such material is not usable. We are supposed to get the impression everything is normal. We hear only the occasional doubt.
Does it touch you when you think about where the material comes from? Yeah, honestly it does. Yeah.
After our visit to MCell, we ask ourselves who supports this business with fetal stem cells. Is there a system behind it? We meet politician and human rights activist Vitaly Kupri. He has been working in this area for years and asks uncomfortable questions. He says he survived 2 assassination attempts.
We all know that in many cases, organs of fetuses and newly born child, they can be used to produce in medicine and cosmetics. In this case, Ukraine became one of the biggest suppliers of this human material to produce medicine and cosmetics in the world. And unfortunately, no one wants to stop it because it's a big money.
Kupri tells us of a woman who has been looking for a dead baby for 4 years, her grandchild.
Find out the truth. What happened actually? Because I cannot, like a human rights protector, I cannot substitute the actual police or prosecutors. We just try to find the truth using them, the government authorities. That's their duties to do. That's why we did it.
We want to meet the woman. Her case is one of many that Vitaly Kupri knows of. We drive to the south of the Ukraine, close to Dnipro-Petrovsk. 4 years ago, according to the prosecution, 26 babies disappeared in the space of 18 months. The only woman who has been battling in the courts over the years is Tatiana Damchenko. 2 years ago, on behalf of her daughter-in-law, she turned to Vitaly Kupri for help. The disputes with the authorities in court were getting to her and taxing her strength, she said.
During my research, I am fighting incessantly and asking everywhere, tell us, where is our baby?
We drive to the place where her heavily pregnant daughter-in-law went in 2009. When Julia suddenly developed strong abdominal pains, she was admitted to hospital in Dnipro-Petrovsk. The birth was induced. Julia gave birth to a little boy. Tatiana Damchenko shows us the maternity ward.
This is where the doctors told us she had delivered a stillborn boy, but the child disappeared. There was no body and no live child. That's a criminal offense committed by the medical staff. They stole our child. The prosecution still hasn't found out where our child is.
There are conflicting statements regarding the cause of death. Later versions of the prosecution files say that the mother saw her child. She is alleged to have consented to the burial of her dead baby with her signature. That's what the papers say. The mother herself cannot remember this. According to doctors' statements, the baby was taken to the morgue. That was noted in the files, and according to the staff in the morgue, no baby ever arrived.
If you really threw it away with operative remains, then get it out and show me. I wanted them to carry out an exhumation. With the help of members of parliament, I managed to get through to the public prosecution and ask, where is the child, dead or alive? I wanted the right to bury it with dignity.
It was Vitaly Kupri, a member of parliament, who helped Tatiana to get the exhumation authorized by the Public Prosecution Service.
Actually, we realized that no bodies, no Damchenko body, no else in the place. And the documents from the hospital saying they should be there, the documents say. It's not just a real case. They said they transferred all the bodies, and examination said no bodies. That's, for me, was very, very surprising.
Tatiana is on her way to the cemetery with Vitaly Kupri. The bodies of 5 babies are said to be buried here. They only find one. It is not her grandchild. Tatiana can only speculate.
They take the babies away from the mothers so their stem cells, their organs, or the children themselves are sold. I'm not a medic and not a lawyer, but even so, I suspect that the material is taken to some lab in which they produce something expensive.
В какие-то лаборатории, где с этого материала что-то делают. И очень дорогостоящее делают.
For beauty institutes or similar.
Я так думаю, и так дальше.
If the doctors follow the procedures, everything would be all right. But now, in this case, they violated the law, and because of the corruption, because of the involvement of high officials from the Ministry of Health level, at least, because we do have this paper saying that everything is all right after they examine the case. I think the problem is with corruption, bribes, everything.
We send an inquiry to the Ministry of Health about these accusations. We get no reply.
To control exactly what is
The manager of the maternity unit was found guilty of mishandling documents, but is still in his job. Tatiana Damchenko is still waiting for a final answer from the authorities.
The doctors are never held to account here. Things are guarded like a secret. To the highest level of government.
Органами державної влади ця справа дітей тримається на великому такому замку.
It's like a tower without a key.
На сьогоднішній день в мене нема такої.
So I'm losing hope that I'll ever achieve anything here.
Що щось можна в нашій державі чогось добитися.
In the Ukraine, there appears to be an illegal business with fetal stem cells for the beauty industry, but conclusive evidence is missing. We make another inquiry with the Ministry of Health. Is there any truth of the accusations that clinics like MCell use late-stage abortion material for anti-aging therapies? No reply. Kupri has no doubts.
From one kid, it could be materials, allegedly they say it's up to $1 million of medicine. And in some cases, females all over the world, rich females, they wanted to prolong their beauty, and they used these materials like stem cells or other extracts from the actual organs of kids. And it's well known now. It's not like secret.
When we started our research, we wanted to find out how far the fight against wrinkles could go. Our impression is that there are almost no limits, neither legal nor moral. In extreme cases, any price is paid for beauty and youth, no matter how high.